The Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 80 of the Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast.
8-0. That's pretty big.
The Nick Antropov of episodes.
I like it. Well done, sir. Nick Antropov has joined the conversation along with other Russians we're going to talk about today.
Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Pierre-Luc Dubois. Well done, sir. Well
Nick,
done.
are you gonna like? You have to do the trifecta here.
No, I'm done. Yeah, I was going to go Patrick Stefan, but no, he's not one. Is there any other 80s?
Well, it should be, but
Yeah.
Not a popular number.
Not a very popular number, no. Guys, should we just go into the intro here for the episode today?
you go, Nick.
Let's go.
Well, as my wife likes to remind me very often, I have the memory of a goldfish. However, there are certain moments in life that I will never forget. For example, the birth of my children, both during COVID. Greece winning the Euro. Running down the streets with big flags on my back, going crazy.
Your first hand job.
This is why we're never going to get sponsors, by the way. This is why we're never going to get sponsors.
So about that potential future announcement.
The Stanley Cup parade, when I can't look at you with these glasses. Stanley Cup parade when I was actually 10 years old, and my grandfather brought me to the parade, and Guy Carbon threw me his hat, or was it Kirk Muller? I can't remember that anymore. But I remember grabbing one of those hats from that parade. The Halak Canadians.
Yes.
Stop sign.
All the stop signs were changed in Montreal, spray painted over saying Halak instead of stop. Just incredible moments, playoff moments. There's something magical about the playoffs, and I think like we're seeing it again, right? Like the Toronto Maple Leafs are 1-13 in elimination games.
That's because they lost tonight.
That's because they lost tonight. But it's
bring them up, didn't you? Those poor guys.
No, but it's just what I wanted to say is that all these storylines, New Jersey actually scoring 4 goals without Jack Hughes tonight so far. There's so many storylines. Rantanen scoring against his old team, right?
Dallas keeping it close.
Dallas, all of a sudden, getting some lucky bounces going their way and keeping it close. Like, there's so many storylines in each one of these that like we're witnessing magic right now. It's just fun. And it's a fun time of the year.
The storylines are what bring people in to watch. Like, even if you're not a Leafs fan, you're going to watch to see, are they going to blow another series lead? Or maybe you're rooting for them because there's players you like, and you're like, are they going to end this stupid drought of 1-13 or whatever it is in elimination games? And are the Canadians going to upset, or does New Jersey stand a chance? Rantanen versus Colorado, what's that like? The reaction of Landeskog coming back. So many storylines.
The majority of my memories have to do with the NHL playoffs. Like,
it's
things
crazy.
that I remember when I was young is like NHL playoffs. The Kovalev slash. Remember that? Where
what a save! Wow, Markstrom just saved the day with a minute left in the third. Holy moly. Sorry about that.
All right, guys. So tonight we're going to be talking about a lot of these different
on
memories
Stein
being
Colvin,
created.
of course. Piece of crap. Sorry. Okay.
See, this is why we shouldn't be watching a game while doing the podcast. Junior can't
No, I think we
control
should just
himself.
mute Junior. That's it. That's all we have to do. All right. Let's get started with the Odd Man Rush. This is where we take news and notes and trends in the NHL.
Oh, yeah, this is where I ask you guys questions, and instead of taking 30 seconds, you all take 3 or more minutes.
Well done, sir. Well
With no
done.
apparent
Vince
reason.
is not in a rush today, I promise.
All right, so since I'm the host of the Odd Man Rush, talking about the playoffs, there's one goalie who craps his pants when it comes to the playoffs. So Winnipeg versus St. Louis, Hellebuck, the playoff struggles continue. Never got pulled this season in one game, but got pulled twice in the playoffs in 4 games.
Back to back, right?
Do Blues have a legitimate chance to win the series? So far, they're the only team, I believe, that were down 2-0 and brought it back to 2-2 on both home games. Junior.
I think they do. I had them winning in 7, so I'm definitely going to give them that opportunity.
I'm going to call you Junior Bravo the whole episode.
Why?
Johnny Bravo has those glasses. Go.
I'm going to say for sure they do. Until Hellebuck proves he can keep up his season numbers in the playoffs, you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the other team. The Jets are who they are because of Hellebuck. So if Hellebuck ain't Hellebuck...
Yeah, I mean, further to your point, Scheifele is a good player. Connor's an amazing player. But the team's heartbeat literally goes through Hellebuck. He's the main person on that team. So if he's struggling, even if he's struggling or half struggling, it's the Blues have a legit chance. You know, Bennington has proven that in the playoffs he could beat. He could actually go out there and beat Hellebuck, and he did it at the Four Nations, right?
And it's too bad because this can tarnish Hellebuck's reputation. Because at some point you have to do it in the playoffs. Even if you don't win a cup, your numbers have to be better.
I agree.
Price didn't win a cup, but he still had decent numbers in the playoffs.
Oh, he stole series.
He stole series. So I'm curious to see how it plays out, but it's not looking great now for the Jets.
Second series, we're going to go into the Vegas versus the Wild. Now, there's going to be a 2-part question. Because
Currently 1-1, Vince, in the first.
Currently 1-1. Kaprasov scored, obviously. You know, the Demidov next Kaprasov. Woohoo. Faber, despite deployment, cannot get any offense going. Is this just a young player struggling in a high-level, high-tension situation? And how impressed are you guys with the Minnesota Wild keeping this series really close and competitive? Nick?
I'm very surprised that Minnesota could even keep it this close. And I think that it's a testament to, you know, their goaltending has been good all year, but nobody's really been talking about their goaltending in the playoffs, but it's been good. Fabre, he's just a shutdown machine. Like, he's shutting down the opposition, but it's kind of taking away from his offense, right? And I think that's why I've always said it. Buim is going to be the offensive catalyst of that team, not Fabre. And
Juracek?
sorry,
Juracek?
Between Buim and Juracek, I think Buim has the pure offensive upside. Mm-hmm. I still think David Juracek is going to be a top 4 defender on their team, not a bottom pairing guy necessarily, right? I think he's going to be a middle pairing guy, but I don't think he's going to be the offensive contributor that Buim is. And Fabre is going to be his Caden Gooley to the Lane Hudson type comparison.
So do you guys see Faber as a buy low for next year?
No.
I mean, in cap leagues, he's getting paid quite a bit of money. So
Next year, not this year. It was next year.
this starting year coming, no?
Yeah, the year coming up, he's getting it.
Yes.
7 million?
This was his last year, 8.
8?
Yeah. This was his last year at a rookie contract.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and Buyam coming in, you don't know. But look, Minnesota's impressive, and they're going to have much more cap space next year. So that's going to be fun to see where they're going. But Kaprasov Boldy is a lethal connection, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next, down to the next series. A series where a lot of people had this team written off because of injuries. They lost their number 1 defenseman. They lost, we could possibly say, their top forward. Dallas, Colorado. Dallas loses Jason Robinson, who Vince draft, obviously, because
he owns a podcast.
podcast, and just want to show people what not to do. And Hiskinen, who hasn't played a game yet against Colorado, who is their number one defenseman. Right now, it's a stalemate as expected, but I mean, Dallas is winning the series 3-2. Will injuries be the X factor in the series? I mean, from now, I would say no, but Junior, I'll take your take on this.
It could be if it keeps like they're already going to game 6, so like Dallas got by without those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, maybe they're just not going to have enough to sustain the Colorado firepower. But I think they play too much of a good structure, a good system that they could get away with that, and that's why I took them in 7 initially. Plus Ottinger versus Blackwood, even though Blackwood got the shutout and probably looks better than Ottinger right now. Come game 7, I think I put my faith in Ottinger.
I'll be honest with you. Ottinger, and we said it during the season, we said it during the offseason as well when we were speaking about Dallas. He's very up and down. He has not found consistency. And that scares me in a playoff series. And like the NHL goes 7 games sometimes. It's first to win 4. And if Ottinger is on and off, hot, cold, well, it doesn't spell very good for Colorado, for Dallas.
That's what's scary, though, is that they're winning 3-2 and he hasn't been great.
Yeah.
So if he turns it up...
But if Robertson comes back, if
Heiskanen
comes back, now we're talking about a fully ready to go Dallas team.
This just shows how Dallas's depth is incomparable to every other team in the NHL.
I agree completely.
And this is why they're winning the series 3-2 because they're much, much deeper than
Duchesne was
Colorado.
a point per game this year.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was what, their third line center? Like,
yeah,
unbelievable.
And Rantanen's finally waking up. 3-point game last game.
Against his old team.
Staying in the West, the final series in the West, where, man, if there was a hit that changed the series, I think in this one there was a game that changed the series. LA versus Edmonton. LA was 30 seconds away from going up 3-1 into the series. And then, boom, comes Bouchard. Can Oilers keep coming back from behind in this series? So far, they've proven they can. Series is tied 2-2. I think momentum is all on Edmonton's sides. Edmonton's big boys are playing. So, like, does LA have a chance to recoup some momentum in this series? Junior?
I think it's still LA's series to lose. You can't look at Skinner and Pickard play and say, hey, Edmonton, you're going to win. At some point, LA's going to realize they need to play in the third period. And they can't keep giving up 3-goal leads. But for me, it's still LA. I mean, Edmonton hasn't just done enough, and their goaltending is just not good enough. Quemper has been not great, but I have more faith in Quemper than I do. Who, by the way, is a Vezina finalist.
Yeah. I would say that when it comes down to McDavid and Draisaitl, they've really taken it up. They've really shown like, okay, we're waking up. This is our team. We're bringing it. Bouchard had an amazing game that game. As long as Edmonton has those big boys playing hard, I think LA is in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, they need more depth scoring. Not enough from Hyman, Nugent Hopkins.
But it's still 2 of the best players.
But when
in the
their
world.
big boys start playing, I can go in this for Edmonton and they'll have a chance to win as long as McDavid, Draisaitl start playing the way they are. I mean, I honestly think LA is dead in the water right now.
But momentum, I don't find momentum's a thing in between games. During a game, I agree with you. Like a big hit could change the momentum of a game. A big penalty kill, a big power play goal could change the momentum of a game. But between games, I feel like, okay, it's a whole new game now. We don't know what's going to happen next.
We'll find out with Toronto, Ottawa next game. Going into the East, Washington versus the Capitals. Ooh. Washington versus the Habs. Is this the best first round series so far, even though the Caps are up 3-1?
I'll start with this one. So,
Nick.
best first round series? No, I don't think so. I think that we're Habs fans and a few people at this table might think that it is the best first round series because this is the one that they watch the closest. But the fact of the matter is that I think Washington has been the better team all around. The Habs have been hanging around. They've been maybe opportunistic. But if you look at the high danger chances against, Washington is all over them this series. What's really cool is that the Habs' top 5 players, so if we're counting Suzuki, Caulfield, that's 25 and 24 years old there.
Hudson,
Lane Hudson is 21. Slavkovsky is 20. And Demidov is 19. So if you're talking about the door creaking open to potential future, this is it. This is the door opening slowly for them. They need to make the playoffs again next year. They need to take another step forward next year. But it's just so much learning that they're doing right now, and you kind of see it on the fly. Like Demidov, every single game, he's gotten a little bit more confident. Just a little more confident. He's trying new things a little bit more. And that's what you need to do if you're going to become better. So I think that this series, losing Montembeault is huge. Thompson didn't miss a game. He only missed a period. So I feel like Washington is the healthier body. Also, that big hit from Wilson to Carrier, that's
clean, if you ask me.
We don't have anybody to replace Carrier, though. So if Carrier misses time, you got to shuffle those defensive parents. You're playing Jack-High 19 minutes. You're playing Struble 19 minutes. You know, like somebody, you're suffering a little bit there. So
it's just the animosity in this series is the most that I've seen compared to the other series. The hits, the fights after the whistle, the late game comebacks. It has a bit of everything. And it's not necessarily sloppy either, right? Like LA Edmonton has all kinds of goals, but it's sloppy because they're bad goals, there's bad defensive plays, and so on and so forth. Whereas in the Habs Caps, one mistake and it's a goal.
Yeah.
You know, every little mistake leads to a goal. So I just felt like the intensity made it one of the better series in the first round. But pretty much looks like the Habs are dead in the water. I don't know if they're going to come back for a game 6, but every time
Ottawa
we doubt them, they come back. So.
And yeah, we're going to go into Ottawa next. But Ottawa did win game 5. So
I'm the host, Nick. Stay in your lane, buddy. All right. Toronto, Ottawa, like Nick was saying. So since it is Tuesday that we're doing this podcast instead of a Sunday, Toronto really looked good at the beginning of this series. Everybody was talking about how Toronto turned the corner with Berube there. And then Ottawa got that first win, and everybody was not so worried. How worried are we that Toronto just lost this game today on home ice against Ottawa? Nick.
Worried for who?
Worried for Toronto. As a Toronto fan, are you worried that you just lost a second in a row to Ottawa?
Are you a Toronto fan?
I'm not a Toronto fan.
Oh.
Oh, so we're not talking about this series? Okay,
okay.
Sorry, guys.
No, I think that, Toronto fans have seen this show before, right? We mentioned that at the beginning of this episode that it's 1-13 in elimination games for Toronto. But I don't think this is the team this year. I don't think this team is going to be that choke artist team. I just think Ottawa played a very good game this game. They also had a couple of bounces go their way, and they won a game, which is game 5. Game 6 is going to go back to Ottawa. If Ottawa could win at home, then it goes 7. And that comment that I received on that YouTube clip of maybe you should retake your take is going to be right when Ottawa and Toronto go 7. And I think listener Jamie even made a comment to me saying that I don't think your take is correct on that this Battle of Ontario going to 7. But I want to see it go to 7 because I find it's a very entertaining series. Not because I care which way it goes.
It needs to go to 7 just to grow that. You know how It took certain years for Montreal, Quebec to get that
rivalry back.
Montreal, Boston, and now Ottawa's in that zone where they're a playoff team. They built that team. They're over the rebuild, so it's nice to get that, like, the sandpaper. Yeah, the hate and the sandpaper between those two. So it'll be fun if it goes 7. Already it's fun that it's gonna go to Game 6. So
I think it's gonna end in Game 6. I think Toronto's built different, but what I will say is that now there's going to be some doubts creeping in, right? You lose 1, fine, it's 3-1. Now you lost 2, it's 3-2. You're going on the road for Game 6. The demons are starting to appear on your shoulder.
I don't think there's doubts until it hits that Game 7. If it does go 7, then I can see the doubts.
Well, based off their record in elimination games.
Yeah, but it's not. It's brutal.
That means
it's different.
I know it's different, but they didn't look great today. But I expect them to come out flying in Game 6.
You know who's looked great? Matthew Nyes. Matthew Nyes has looked like a playoff performer again.
You know who's looked great? The 3 guys that they're going to have to dish out loads of money to.
Oh, my God. This money
Marner,
talk again.
Nyes, and Tavares. Those have been their 3 best players. With Nylander's been pretty good. But those guys have been ridiculously good.
Antonio DiBiase at gmail.com. If you want to send him hate mail, please send it to this way, not to the podcast.
There's nothing to hate. I'm complimenting them.
The
guys.
second to last series we'll talk about. Carolina, New Jersey. A lot of people expected this to be the fastest series to end. Not because New Jersey didn't deserve to be where they were, but they got huge injuries at the most inopportunist time.
You could kind of say Hughes injuries.
But listen, Carolina's up in the series 3-1. New Jersey right now is keeping it close, so you're going to overtime 4-4. Is this series going as you guys expected it to go from the beginning? Junior.
Yeah, it did for me. It pretty much did for me.
Yep.
I had this ending in 5. We'll see if it ends in 5 here, but New Jersey just gave up a 3-goal first period lead. They came back, though, because they were down 4-3.
No, they were up 4-3.
No, they had scored 4-3.
Oh, they went up 4-3 and
they
then
took the lead again and then lost the lead.
So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. But I'm calling it sending here on Seth Jarvis overtime winner.
I'm going with my boy Aho. Look, Carolina has been the better team. I think they're the better coach team as well. I kind of mentioned it last episode when I went on a rant about Sheldon Keefe, so I apologize to Sheldon Keefe. I always want you to come on the podcast and be a guest. But fact of the matter is, I think Carolina is just a better team. They've been here before. They've gone deeper before. They're better coached. I don't know. They're just a better team.
Man, imagine New Jersey Devils with Quinn Hughes next year. And finally, the Battle of the Palm Trees. Finally, Tampa versus Florida. Is home ice a disadvantage in this series? Tampa is kind of getting run out of the arena over here, down 3-1. Do you guys think John Cooper's job's on the line over here?
So I heard that today. I heard it today saying that if this is another first-round exit for Tampa, well, are they, at the end of the John Cooper era?
I mean, if this is the talk, if I'm looking for a coach, I put everything on hold.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything on hold.
But we just saw Mike Sullivan also get let go. And I think
We'll talk about it.
I think everything's going to go on hold for that as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Sullivan and Cooper are the, first of all, they were the 2 longest tenured coaches. We mentioned it last episode. Go back to listen to episode 79 if you want. Very good episode. Vince wasn't there.
Yeah, that's why I suck.
So it's just that Florida has been the dominant team here. Florida has been the better team. Even though Tampa, I loved their end of season gets because they went to get people that have been there before with Tampa.
Yeah, well, Bjorkstrand didn't even get to play in the first round.
Okay, but that's one guy. Like I'm just saying that they
No, you're right. I'm just saying it sucks for them that he wasn't even able to help them in the first round, But
yeah, I'm just
So, Junior, what do you think?
And Vasilevsky, to finish off the thoughts, hasn't been very Vasilevsky-ish.
Also a Vezina candidate.
Also a Vezina.
Nominee, yeah.
Hey, all I need him for is the regular season, my friends.
No, look, when Tampa scored those 2 quick goals to take the lead 2-1 yesterday, I was like, okay, this is it, you know? But then the tide turned, 2 quick goals from Florida in the third, and look, you can't count Tampa out. You just can't, even though Florida is a beast. Ekblad just got suspended 2 games. They were fine without him. Hagel is not playing next game for Tampa either. So that's going to be interesting, but don't count Tampa out, even though in the end Florida is gonna win the series.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, that is the end of the Odd Man Rush. Thank you, Junior and Nick, for keeping your takes over 30 seconds and maybe under 6 minutes. Odd Man Rush.
All right, guys. For the next segment, we will be entering...
Let me talk to you.
To continue with the John Cooper possible being let go, being let go, we're going to talk about the top 5 destination for coaches and how it might affect their fantasy outlook for those teams and those players moving forward. Who are the best fits? And we're going to just do this quick rapid fire. I don't want this segment to take too long, but I'm going to start with Junior. I'm going to give you a team. You tell me who the best coach is for that team, and let's try not to pick the same coach for each of these teams.
I think we're going to pick the same coach for one particular team, but...
And you know what? To be honest with you, I think that there's a lot of these teams that are going to have one coach in particular as the person that they're going to be targeting, but he can only accept one job. So let's talk about Seattle. What do you think?
Boring.
Yeah, I started it off with you because you are boring. Let's talk about Seattle. Can you tell me who you think would be the best fit for that team? I have my opinion, but I just want yours.
I would go for Seattle. I think I would go with Gerard Gallant. He's done pretty well with a young team.
Yes.
They have a lot of good young prospects coming.
Yeah.
Their team, they have some veterans, but like the Shane Wrights, the Berkeley Cattons, Riker Evans.
He reminds me also a bit of that guy that, because he was my pick as well for that team. He was my pick for Seattle. He reminds me of the guy that's going to roll 4 lines, and they have the depth to kind of do that.
That's it. They're suited for his style of coaching.
And I find he plays an offensive style, which is going to be fun for guys, seeing guys like Shane Wright and Beniers maybe take the next step.
Yeah, I think that's like a match made in heaven. You don't always need the best coach available. You need the coach that fits the players you have.
I agree. All right.
They just need to fix their goaltending maybe a little bit.
Well, we'll see. I mean, the Cord had an off season this year, right? So, anyways,
Jessica Campbell? I think it's going to be Jessica Campbell.
Let's go with Boston. Vince, talk to me.
Torts. There's like no other option for Boston.
Really?
Torts, yeah.
Torts?
100%.
Why?
Why not? He comes in on a team that wants to be playoff bound. Look what he did with Philly with half the talent that Boston has. He has a goaltender that's an actual goaltender.
He plays a defensive style. He helps goalies out a lot. I can see that.
I mean, and Pasternak will get his points because he's just that talented. But if Boston don't make any big moves in the offseason, with the team they have, Torts is the best coach they can have. Elias Lindholm will become the Elias Lindholm of the Calgary Flames, playing with Pasternak under Torts. I think Torts is the number one person for this job. There's not a lot of young kids on this job, on this team. There's players that want to play with him. Your captain played on Team USA with him, which is McAvoy. So I believe Torts is the best candidate for Boston Bruins.
That's an interesting take. I like that take. It's interesting. All right, Junior, talk to me about Chicago. Do they keep Sorensen, by the way? Because he's kind of their what do you call it again? Interim. Sorensen's the interim. Do they stay with him or do they go a different route?
Well, they had an agreement with David Carl, so I don't think they're going to stay with Sorensen. They had a 5-year agreement with David Carl, who ended up opting out. to go back to the University of Denver, it seems, although it's not unofficial yet. So I don't think they're sticking with Sorensen. If I had to pick a candidate, maybe Granato.
I like Granato. Really offensive coach. I think he's a really good coach. He was with Buffalo before.
He was with Buffalo, and
they didn't really give him a long chance.
A long leash, right. But he had higher expectations there. He might have a little less with Chicago. That could help him. But I feel like that would be the ideal fit for Chicago.
I like it. I could also see a Woodcroft there.
Yeah.
Woodcroft is good with the young players as well. But Granato and Woodcroft would both maybe increase, maybe fix Bedard a bit. All right. I'm giving you all the original six here. So
go,
New York Rangers. Who is the best fit?
Sullivan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think they're going for Sullivan.
Markstrom is on fire.
Yeah. Sullivan is it's a no-brainer. He's done so much with Pittsburgh and the team he has with Pittsburgh. Rangers, whether we like it or not, is a solidified team. They just had a bad season, including their GM, who had an awful season of decision makings that he did. So I think Sullivan here is the guy to go get.
If anybody could fix the culture of a room that's broken right now, I think Sullivan is your guy.
Yeah,
I think you're absolutely on to something. And if Cooper loses his job in Tampa, that's another candidate for the Rangers. Yes, you were going to say something.
Yeah, do you think... I mean, New York is New York, right? Everybody wants to play and coach in New York. But do you think the way Drury has handled things over the last 18 months affects how much coaches are willing to go there?
Well, that's a good point.
Like the locker room has been a bit messy. His management of the players from a transaction standpoint has been messy. Like, is that something Mike Sullivan's going to say, do I really want to get in that? Like
if I look at all the teams remaining, though, the Rangers are the closest to being competing for a cup. Boston, I find they might be, depending on what they do this offseason, they might still be a playoff team next year, but that's still kind of questioning. Seattle as well, I don't know.
Fringe.
The Rangers are the closest to a cup, and if Sullivan wants to be a competitive team, that's the best team to go out there and get. Because the next team that we're going to talk about is nowhere near a cup, but they might maybe fight for a playoff spot. Who knows? Philadelphia Flyers. A lot of good young players coming for them. Junior, what coach would fit really well there?
It's the obvious one. It's the one that everyone's been talking about and linking. For me, it's Tocchet. The job he's done with Vancouver with the young guys and the young vets, I think that can translate well in Philadelphia. He seems to be a flyer. Mishkov could, look at the development of Quinn Hughes under Tocchet. A guy like Drysdale that's there can take maybe an extra step. They have Luchenko, number one, that hopefully he's going to be the number one center. He could take that step with Tocchet. He's going to bring that grit that Flyers love. So, and they have the players to play that. They're just missing a few more offensive pieces, but it's a job for him that's going to have less pressure. It's a development job, but a development job that's not 5 years away, maybe 2-3 years away from competing. And I think he could play a big role in speeding up that process.
All right, Vince. I like it, by the way. It's a good point. Talk to me about Pittsburgh Penguins, the other Pennsylvania team.
This is just hard because you don't know where they are. You don't know if they're going to compete, if they're in a rebuild, they're in a retool.
I think by firing Sullivan, you're in a rebuild. You're signaling the beginning of the rebuild.
Are you? Because that's not what Dubas sounded like in his exit interview.
To be fair, he had 2 years left on his contract. It was a mutual agreement to part ways.
Yeah, but so I would say, if I'm looking at names, I'm not a fan of Quenneville. I would say Jay Woodcroft would be the best guy to come in because if you're going between, if you don't know where you're going, if you're going north to south, at least he can try to contain it and try to get everything he can out of the players that Pittsburgh has. Like I said, they still have an elite Crosby on their team, who got a point per game this year. Malkin's slowing down Letang, Carlson. So I don't know. I don't know what Dubas is doing with this team, but I'd say Jay Woodcroft would be a good candidate.
So I like the Woodcroft idea for the Penguins, and I think that if I'm really looking at the Penguins starting a rebuild, if they really are starting a rebuild, but let's say they're starting a rebuild and Crosby and Malkin are near the end, they don't want a coach coming in being a hard ass and ruining these guys' lives in the last 2 years that they're actually with Pittsburgh. Woodcroft would be a good coach to kind of bring in there. He's kind of a player's coach, a little bit more of a player's coach. I would also maybe give an idea here for Granato or Mitch Love. Mitch Love is the assistant for the Capitals. He might be looking for a head coaching job, and if you want to start growing a new atmosphere in Pittsburgh, bringing a Laviolette is not going to help.
No,
right? Bringing a Torts is not going to help. But maybe if you get one of these younger coaches with a little bit more energy to come in and start looking at things a little bit differently, I think that would help the Penguins. Woodcroft is a great idea. I would also throw out Granato and Mitch Love there.
But what's the chemistry going to be like if a young coach comes in to rebuild, and then guys like Crosby and Malkin and Letang are there, and
yeah, but
that's
your veteran leadership.
Erik Karlsson.
It's your veteran leadership.
They're player coaches.
Yeah, exactly.
In my opinion, what a great way to let's say Mitch Love. Okay, I'm throwing it out there, but let's just say Mitch Love is a young guy looking for his first coaching experience. What better person to lean on than Sidney Crosby to help you out in your ideas and in your concepts and in how to present certain ideas to players, and could be an extension of the coach, Sidney Crosby, right? So a younger coach might fit well there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Anaheim, they've been linked to Quenneville Jr. Is that?
I would have loved David Carl here. I mean, we've mentioned it a couple of times. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. I don't understand the Quenneville one at all. My choice is David Carl. He has a record of handling young guys, developing young guys at the University of Denver. They're not the biggest names on paper that he has at the University of Denver, but he always manages to be super competitive and won a national championship. He's done it with the U18s and the World Juniors. With a pretty stacked team, if you don't mind me adding there. So I think the pieces are there for him to develop and grow, and I think that's the missing piece in Anaheim, is that coach to propel these young guys that knows how to communicate and get the best out of them.
So here's where I think you're wrong.
Ooh.
I actually think that the idea behind Anaheim looking for a Quenneville type coach, and I'll even say a Laviolette would be a good fit here. And similar reason is that I think they need the hard-ass coach now. They've had the player, young guy, and help develop for so long, they've gone nowhere.
Cronin hasn't been soft, though.
Who?
From what I've heard, Cronin hasn't been a soft coach.
Yeah, but the players didn't, for one reason or another, didn't really respond well.
Yeah, 'cause you can't have a hard coach that has no rep.
Right. So Laviolette, though, comes in having a rep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Quenneville comes in having a rep. Torps, even, you would say, comes in having a rep. You want these guys to start playing hard and to start looking at playoffs as a possibility. Whereas Anaheim has been in the dumpster for so long that I think that their ownership is tired of it. And I think the fans are tired of it. They want to see progress. And if you're not... Guys, we said it so often with Montreal. They've been rebuilding for 3 years. They made the playoffs. I'm not saying that it's linear. It's not always linear. But 3 years, they made the playoffs. Buffalo has been rebuilding for 13 years. Ottawa took him 10 years to rebuild. Detroit's another 10 years to rebuild. Anaheim has been a long time to rebuilding, right? It's time to take the next step, and they need a coach to actually put them through to the next step. Gallant would be another good fit here.
Yeah.
And I like Gallant there,
they
too.
They need to be careful, because if they don't
That's just my opinion.
If they don't get things rolling, San Jose is right there.
Like
San Jose is right there.
if San Jose and Chicago start overtaking Anaheim, how bad is that for Anaheim, who's been rebuilding for 7 years?
Yeah.
10 years. I don't remember since the Solani days. Okay, last team, and this is the biggest dumpster fire out of all of these teams.
Yeah.
The Vancouver freaking Canucks. I sent this. I can't remember who I sent this to now, but I need to find it. It's a list of all the things this year that couldn't go worse for the Vancouver Canucks. They have been an absolute mess from the beginning. Oh, thank you. So this was from Big Head Hockey, so I want to give props where props is due. But they were picked as favorite to win the Western Conference. Okay, did they beat Vancouver? They beat Edmonton last year in the playoffs, or
They lost in
Edmonton
7.
went-
They
they
lost.
lost
They
in
beat
7.
Nashville, and
Edmonton
then they
went to
lost in
Stanley Cup.
7 to Edmonton.
so the second round of the playoffs, and they lost to 7 to Edmonton, right? So your trajectory looking up. If you were talking about them last offseason. Elias Pettersson and JT Miller got into a public feud. Traded star center JT Miller away for Philip Hedl and prospects. Hedl suffers a season-ending concussion. Not soon after that. Brock Besser suffers a concussion. This one's sad. Dakota Joshua diagnosed with testicular cancer. That's I hope all the best for him.
Well, he came back.
He did come back?
Yeah, he did come back.
Okay, so
good
that's a
news.
scary one. But I'm just reading all the things that went wrong for them. Thatcher Demko's injury looks significantly worse than expected and could be career-threatening. Lankinen was a nice story, but it's not the same, right? We're not talking about the same value here. They missed the playoffs by 4 wins. Their superstar defenseman Quinn Hughes officially considered a flight risk after he mentioned comments about wanting to play with his brother to the GM, right? Tom Willander not signed after contract disputes. Brock Besser going to be testing free agency after contract disputes. And head coach Rick Tocchet, after all that, decides to leave. So, are we looking at a full freaking rebuild in Vancouver? And who is the best coach to get them through the next phase? I want both your answers on this.
So, because it's such a
Clusterfuck, you could say it.
dumpster fire, I'd go with Jeff Blashill. And the reason is he's an assistant coach, so if he's gonna be a coach, it's gonna be new. He'll be just guiding himself into the coaching reign. He's coached under John Cooper, who is one of the strongest coach mentally towards players. Just knows what to say and what to do to get players to give it their all. So I think that mentorship would help him. And if at the end of the day Vancouver decides to go for a rebuild, well, at least now you have a young coach who can bring in his own style and start the rebuild. But I'm not sure Vancouver is going this summer and starting to sell assets here. I think Vancouver is going to play it out, see how next year starts. And if they see that next year it's still a big dumpster crap, I think that's when they're going to sell. But, I mean, let's get real. Quinn Hughes, if he's getting traded in New Jersey. It's just that simple. So
I don't think so.
yeah, I think so. He's getting traded.
Now with 2 years left on his contract.
You're getting Dawson Mercer, you're getting Nemec, and you're getting a few first round picks. That's what you're getting for Quinn Hughes.
Vancouver controls his destination because he doesn't have a no trade clause in his contract. So he can go to any team, and any team knows that they have him for 2 years, because if he becomes UFA, he's probably going to sign with New Jersey. I think that we all agree on. But Rutherford tried to call Quinn Hughes to tell him about Tocchet. Never returned his call. Quinn Hughes is not happy about this Tocchet thing. They remember you mentioned last episode they went for supper together.
But Quinn Hughes probably already knew that this was happening.
Yeah, because he went for supper with Tocchet, and Tocchet was the one that told him probably. But he made it clear he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild. I think with 2 years left in his contract, now's the time to maximize his value in a trade. Elias Pettersson has no value right now, probably not as much as people would think.
Yeah. So,
So-
like a team would take a flyer on him, but I
Yeah,
don't
but
see them
would
selling the
Vancouver
farm.
do it now, right?
Yeah.
I think Jay Woodcroft is the coach here. No expectations. He's dealt in the Canadian market before, so he knows what that's like. Because of the lowered expectations of being on a team that's rebuilding, it'll help him, give him time to implement his system, not have that pressure of having McDavid and having to win like he did in Edmonton. So I think the fact that he could develop young guys, he's good with his role players. That's the perfect fit for him. And I don't know.
Granado and Mitch Love again.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Granado again there, but that would have been a good one too. So I think
A
Jay
prove
Wood,
it type situation.
yeah, I think Jay Woodcroft here would be a great fit, but it's tough times in Vancouver, man.
It definitely is. Guys,
Let me talk to you.
that's the end of our best destination for coaches in 2025. Let's update very, very quickly the playoff.
All right, so I'm gonna just update the pool I'm in with today's updated scores. So basically, listener Umbi is nice and comfortable in first with 85 points. Listener Claudius at 79. Listener Rooks jumped up the charts today at third place at 71 points. Listener Tino's at 66. Listener Capri, the defending champion, is at 65. Co-host Junior just out of the cutoff zone at 64. Knack from the Bush League Huddle Pod, he's at 59. Your co-host and myself, 55 points because, I picked an injured player. Listener Tasso at 48. And finally, listener from Panama who's enjoying the sun is at 42.
Yeah, listener Panama, I think, made it all the way to the finals, if I'm not mistaken, last year. He's looking like this was his last year, being last in Division B. Division A is the other league, and co-host Nick today somehow got first place, 76 points. Mike Batista, second place. Listener Don, third place. Roger from the Bush League Huddle podcast in fourth. Alessandro, who auto-drafted in fifth. Listener Mavs is just outside looking in at sixth spot. Hard Day's Night is not that far behind Listener Mavs, only 1 point behind in position 7. Tony, Listener Tony at 8. Listener Bamia at 9. And Fab from Bush League Huddle, again, the third co-host, is in last place of that one. So, guys, this has been a really fun so far, especially because I'm in first in my division. No, but I wasn't in first last week. So there's still a lot of time left here because things could switch really, really fast.
I wasn't first last episode. Imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
If one series ends now and then the other series go on a few games, you never know.
People are going to start losing players now, right?
Exactly.
That's it.
So it's going to be very interesting how it ends.
Well,
Well, listener Rooks has Aho and Jarvis. So if they win here in overtime, that's too big.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at the award ceremonies for this fantasy hockey regular season. And we used to have a soundbite for this, did we not?
Yeah, it was an award.
Yeah, but then
song.
we cleaned it up and then we took it out.
And then we never added it back, right?
No. So how about we go this one? See what this one is.
I think that was our surgeoning one, right?
No.
No,
that was the doctor, right?
Crash
in the
and
house.
Burn.
Yes, that was the crash and burn. That's right.
That kind of sounds like Hellebuck in the playoffs.
There we go.
Ooh.
Speaking about our first award,
Dirty. Let's go with our first award.
All right, our first award is the Dominic Hasek Award. So at our mid-season point, we had Connor Hellebuck. This is for the best goalie in the league in terms of fantasy relevance. So let's remind everybody, these are fantasy awards.
Regular season awards.
Regular season awards. Obviously, they kind of go hand in hand almost with the NHL, but we added our little twist to it. So this, which is the Vezina in the NHL, is considered the Dominic Hasek Award in fantasy hockey, according to your boys of the Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast. And the winner from the Winnipeg Jets, Eric Comrie? No, Connor Hellebuck. This was the easiest of them all, right, guys?
Yes, Vezina winner, also winner in Fantasyland as well. Let's just move on.
Moving on to the next award. The next position is defense, the Paul Coffey Award. So at the midseason point, we had Kel McCarr as the leader of the pack. And with 30 goals and 62 assists and 92 points in 80 games played, Kel McCarr.
Yay!
Kel McCarr wins the Paul Coffey Award.
Okay, so both of those didn't change.
Both of those did not change. And this one, and neither of them were really close.
Okay.
The runner-ups weren't close at all.
Let's see if the third one changed.
Let's see if the third
I
one
think
changed.
we can do 3 awards in a row on this one. I mean,
Something tells me it didn't change, Nick. But let's. So this one goes to the best fantasy forward of the regular season. At the midway point, it was Leon Draisaitl. This one is called the Wayne Gretzky Award, and the winner is, with 52 goals and 54 assists,
This guy really drags it on, eh?
yeah.
of the Edmonton Oilers, Leon Draisaitl.
All right. And the Jaromir Jagr Award also because 52 goals. So I'm just going to move it along here.
And the Mr. Clutch Award also.
Yeah, you guys are confusing me. Okay, so
You won all 3 awards, so you should just.
yeah, I know, but you like people. You think people listen to the midseason awards? They know the names.
Go
of
ahead.
the-
Go ahead. Please, you're doing great.
Yeah, we're going to just.
All right, so the Jaromir Jagr Award goes to Leon Draisaitl, and the Mr. Clutch goes to Leon Draisaitl.
There we go.
Mr. Clutch is actually not called Mr. Clutch. It's called the Brett Hall Award. But yes, game-winning goals, 11 of them for Leon Draisaitl. And Scheifele was also with 11, so we could have kind of given it to Scheifele here just to change it up a bit. But
It was less games played.
less
for,
games
Leon
played. Okay.
Leon Draisaitl by like 9 or so. So,
All right.
all right, next up, and I think this is where things start to change. So, the best goal-getter, which we named the Paul Kariya Award for the most shots on goal. At the midseason point, it was David Pasternak of the Boston Bruins. But the winner is Nathan McKinnon of the Colorado Avalanche with 320 shots on goal.
The first one who actually came and took over the midseason award winner.
By 1 shot on goal. Pasternak finished
No.
second with 319.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Anything to add on McKinnon? No, I mean,
Look, he had an incredible season, right? I mean, Nathan McKinnon is right up there with Draisaitl and McDavid, and then everybody else. I don't want to hear Matthews in the second spot ever again.
well, he needs to play more games. All right, so our MVP, so most impressive based on ADP.
Ah, yes.
So this is not just whoever got the most points in the league. This is what we call the Martin Saint-Louis Award. Someone who was drafted late and became your league winner. At the midseason point, we had Martin Necas after his flamboyant, hot start. But we have a change. From the Tampa Bay Lightning, the winner is Brandon Hagel. His ADP was, depending on which website you use, was between 140 and 150. And he is 6th in fantasy points. So top 10 in fantasy points in most leagues.
That's insane.
That-
150 to number 6.
To top 10. To top 10.
Top 10.
And guys, none of his goals on the power play.
Isn't that insane? I traded a boatload just to get him back because he absolutely impressed me, and his contract is freaking amazing in cap leagues. So you're gonna love that contract for a long time.
Vince?
You.
No, nothing on Hagel.
How you going? No. What do you want me to tell you on Hegel? You guys have been, well, I was going to say blowing his cock all year, but like,
Jesus Christ!
but you know, like, you guys have, the whole year, you guys have been just like, like talking about him.
This is a family episode.
There's nothing else to say.
Whoa.
There's nothing else to say. You guys
There goes
said
the last of the sponsors.
Yeah.
Even Manscaped won't give us that one.
oh, maybe they will. But yeah, listen, with his contract and what he does with the Tampa Bay Lightning, we're good.
Okay, so moving on to the next award.
Thank God we're not sponsored yet.
The best waiver wire ad. So the player who went undrafted in most leagues and helped you win a championship pretty much. We call this one the Alex Burrows Award. Mid-season winner was Alexei Protas, and the winner is Alexei Protas. Nothing changed there. I think this was also a pretty easy one, right?
No, sorry. I saw them celebrating. I thought it was a goal.
Did you guys have someone maybe no? Protas was the guy, right?
No, but I think Protas was the guy. I mean, the guy was drafted 1,500th ADP.
Mind you could have given it to that listener. Remember that listener at the beginning of the year from Vegas?
Yeah.
Who said, watch out for...
Yeah, but he was
Dorofe-
drafted more.
Dorofeev.
yeah, but he wasn't drafted.
He was drafted.
Yeah, he was drafted, but not in like the top. He was drafted like at the bottom.
Right, yeah.
So-
but the best waiver wire ad, you're looking
yes,
for a
of
guy
course.
that's never
Yeah.
been drafted by any league. And Alexei Protas never
No, of
drafted.
course, nobody knew
He
about
came
him.
out of
came to
nowhere.
mind. He came to mind for the Martin St. Louis Award too because he
Yeah.
was drafted late, but didn't quite produce as much as Hagel.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We have a few left. The next one is the Alex Tange Award. This goes to, the best bang for your buck in dynasty leagues and cap leagues. So that's not an ELC contract.
Yes. I love this award, by the way.
So the reason we called it the Alex Tange Award back then was because in 1,000 games played, Tange had 863 points in 17 years under $40 million earnings, right? So the Alex Tange Award, the midseason winner was Kirill Marchenko.
It was going to be his if he wasn't going to get injured.
Yeah.
I think the injury really slowed him down. Yeah.
Under $4 million for the amount of points he was producing. The winner, though, comes from the Dallas Stars. It ain't Wyatt Johnston.
Well, he's on an ELC.
It ain't Rupe Hintz.
$8 million.
He's making
Rupe.
way
It
much
ain't. I'm just naming all their stars. It's Matt Duchene. Matt Duchene, a $3 million contract producing at a point per game pace.
81 games played, 81 points, or 82 games played, 82 points. Hold on, let me get
So
that for you.
what's that contract going to look like in
82
free
games
agency
played,
next
82
year?
points.
Someone's going to overpay.
82 games played, 82 points. 30 goals.
Someone's going to overpay for a 33-year-old.
Okay, so let's say he makes $7 to $8 million
That's
next
way
year.
too much.
Draftable,
No.
depending on
And a
where he
cap-
goes,
Well, it
right?
depends where he goes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very hard to say. If he's the number 2 center on the Montreal Canadiens for $7 million on a 2-year contract, I'd draft him. Absolutely.
I think so too.
No.
All right. But yeah. Last one?
2 left.
2.
So the best rookie. So the Timo Solani Award. The midseason winner was Macklin Celebrini. The winner, potentially the Calder winner as well, from the Montreal Canadiens, defenseman Lane Hudson.
And I think he's the winner here because, number one, defense is very hard to find good offensive defensemen in fantasy. I mean, you could attest to it. It's difficult to find these guys, and especially as
impossible.
rookies, to be producing at, 60 assists,
Yeah.
5 goals, 65 points in his rookie season. Very difficult to find something like that. Lane Hudson just kind of took over that position in Montreal from the beginning.
Last one.
The last one.
So this one is the most disappointing, the Underachievement Award. The one labeled as Alexandre Daigle Fantasy Bust Award. The midseason winner was Steven Stamkos of the Nashville Predators.
He did nothing in Nashville at the beginning.
Nothing. And
Well,
he
yeah,
turned
he
it on
turned
a
on a
little
bit,
bit, but
yeah.
not quite at Stamkos levels. But the ultimate loser here, not winner, I would say loser, is out of Vancouver. Number 40.
Hit a guy while he's down.
Solid sound bites here, guys. Elias Pettersson, number 40, the forward, the center, the left winger, whatever you want to call him.
The guy that's getting paid.
$11+ million
You know what worries
to
about,
produce 45 points this year.
But you know what worries me about him is that
Everything?
no, but it's not that. You know, so like some players are just snake bitten. Him, apparently it's his attitude and his. It reminds me a bit of Laney, in an aspect where a season's over, I have nothing to take care of. I'm good. I just have to show up to training camp, and I think that's what worries me the most with him.
So, 5th overall in 2017, getting paid $11.5 million, had a total of 45 points this year. Only 64 games played, so, I mean, but even his on pace would not have reached 60
and
points.
you could find all the excuses in the world, the turmoil with Miller, the situation surrounding the team, Besser, all this stuff. At the end of the day, if you're making 11 point whatever million dollars, it's because you could play past that. And he didn't. And the biggest thing about him is always his conditioning. And he never seems to improve on it. So,
Guys, listen, there's not much to say here. I think we've named this trophy the greatest name of all time for a trophy like this, the Alexander Degel Award. I'm really proud of that one. So our winner this time, or loser, like you amply put it, is Elias Pettersson.
in time, does this become the Nel Yakupov Award?
No, because Neil Yakupov, it wasn't for the lack of trying. He just sucked.
No, he was just in a very weak draft where,
Yes, but
I mean,
Alexander Degel wanted to become a singer. He didn't want to be a hockey player, right?
Yeah.
So it's a totally different. And he went what, first overall?
Yeah, first overall, no?
to Ottawa, yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Another
Guys.
episode in the books.
Follow us on X, Instagram at Partial Break Pod. If ever you guys want to join, we're gonna have a season long coming up as well. So please DM us if you're interested in joining that.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We have a Discord, we have a YouTube channel. Like and subscribe there.
If you're listening on any podcast platform, just like, subscribe, and
Give us a
follow.
review.
Automatic downloads, guys.
Join
That
the
helps.
conversation, please. I know if you actually stayed until the end of this episode to listen to this, then you're a real fan, and we appreciate it. Just hit us that like so we could feel good about ourselves a little bit.
And we're working on being better. We're working on some things. We might have some announcement coming up next week, hopefully. And if all goes well, we'll share the news with you guys.
We have a few balls in the air right now. Not those.
Yeah.
So stop. Don't even say it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Nick and juggling balls.